offline, which is conducted by Women Protection and Anti-Harassment Cell at MREC. Now it's my pleasure to welcome the resource person, Ms. Ekta Singh, Global CHRO of AGS Health, and all heads of the department onto the dais. So request Professor Sarojama ma'am to please come on to the dais.
Civil engineering, standing before you. A very good morning to everyone. I am extremely delighted to invite all the dignitaries who light the lamp to have unfolding of wisdom of life as a great start. And then the prayer song will be followed by Tejas Pini, Mechanical 4th year.
About Women Protection and Anti-Harassment Cell. MREC is equipped with half of the staff as students are women, and the figure is almost around 1200. This shows the strength of the women folk at MREC, both online and offline. Mallaredi Engineering College has committed for safeguarding the rights and providing welfare measures to women staff and students. The Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act 2013 is a legislative act in India which came into force from 9 December 2013. Accordingly, MREC has constituted the Anti-Sexual Harassment Cell for the women welfare, protection, prevention of sexual harassment in the campus and create awareness programs on welfare and protection. Hence, will function as a subcommittee of the institute.
And the functions of the cell are to provide and nourish a neutral, confidential, supportive and serene culture for its female students and employees, to create awareness pertaining to gender sensitization and discrimination, to provide information regarding counseling and support services, and now when it comes to roles and responsibilities, preparing the Almanac of Women Protection and Anti-Harassment, which constitute subcommittees of faculty and student members for the execution of work on women welfare, provide training in skill and capacity to all the members in striving for equal, safe and harmonious environment.
And the students also have dynamic role in functioning of the cell, which are report to the faculty members for taking up the work assigned in relation to functioning of the cell, inculcate discipline among all the students for a grievance-free and friendly college environment, and heads addressed under sexual harassment complaints registered. To mention few: physical contact and advances, sexually colored remarks, eve-teasing, demand or request for sexual favor, jokes causing or likely to cause awkwardness or embarrassment, and etc. Having mentioned, I would like to emphasize that our cell is dynamic dynamic in discharging its role, part of its function. Where there is a safety, there will be an empowerment. When you are empowered with the safety ensured and your empowerment as a woman engineer, it will be the milestone of Female Engineer Day and you can make the history. And now I request Ms. Rasagna ma'am to brief our beloved Ekta Singh ma'am's profile. Ma'am to address the profile of resource person is Ekta Singh.
And it's my pleasure to brief the profile of Ms. Ekta Singh. Ekta is a global CHRO for AGS Health. In her role, she manages all gamuts of HR, CSR, D&I, branding and communications. She has more than 25 years of progressive experience in talent delivery, performance management, recruitment, talent management, diversity and inclusion, compensation, benefits, staffing. She started her career in the year 1996 with CMC Limited and has worked in India and abroad in organizations like Capgemini, Deloitte, Royal Bank of Scotland and Courts. She wears many hats and is a speaker, trainer, executive coach, writer and thought leader. She is on the board for a not-for-profit called End Now Foundation. They are the only not-for-profit organization in the space of promoting internet, ethics and digital well-being, maximizing technology benefits while minimizing risk and negativity. She is involved in philanthropic activities in her free time, cancer prevention and awareness amongst women close to her heart. She is also attached to an orphanage in Hyderabad and is an active member. To her strengths, human capital management, organizational development, D&I and CSR, coaching and mentoring. Interests and hobbies. Loves to travel, gardening, painting, write poetry and short stories. To mention few feathers in her cap, Indian Achievers Award in 2021 as Women of Excellence Award, VP Diversity Award at Capgemini for promoting gender diversity and its development. Best HR Leadership Award in the Employee Engagement Achievers Awards hosted by Kamikaze Media, Telangana's Top HR Leader Award in an event hosted by Goel HRD and IT. To her passion, she has been speaker, panelist from 2017 to 2018, Spotlight as a Global Thought Leaders hosted by RSG Group and India Diversity Forum, speaker at the Economic Times Roundtable on nurturing high-performing hybrid teams, mentor speaker at Jobs for Her, where she spoke on second career, panelist at Hindustan Times, Shine HR Conclave, Hyderabad Editing, speaking on the topic the evolution of HR analytics, speaker at High C HR Summit speaking on the topic of HR, a custodian of policy or culture. Thank you.
Thank you. Dynamic resource person, Ms. Ekta Singh. Ma'am, over to you please.
No, I don't think you had your morning tea, coffee, milk, whatever that may be. Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Much better. One more time.
Good morning, ma'am.
All right. No, ma'am. Ekta is okay. We are good with Ekta. All right. Whenever there is an introduction, I kind of feel they are introducing someone else and not me. You know, it's too much to deal with your own introduction, don't you think? Yeah? All right. So one thing you have to know is I'm very passionate about women and their development. So my question will start today. Thank goodness there are no PPTs. Yay, right? Alright. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you a few questions and obviously I want you all to, raise your hand or tell me and I can walk up or we can pass the mic and someone can respond, alright? So first question is very easy. How many of you here, women that are sitting, students, this is only for students, not for the faculty, for students, have both your parents, your mom and your dad, both your parents working? Both your parents working. How many of you are? Okay. All right.
Complete.
All
Complete
right.
the fact.
All right. All right. So not more than 20. And how many do you think are in this room?
200.
200?
250?
250.
Yeah.
And not even, I don't think it was even 20. I lost the count by 12 or 13. So both parents working, you all raised hands, only a few. Now remember the next part I'm telling you. Forget everything that I'm going to speak today, but remember what I'm going to say next. Yeah? Which is, as women, all of you are in engineering college, right? How many of you plan to work after you finish your engineering? Okay. All of you. How many of you all have been thinking, or family has been thinking and saying, hey, by the way, you know what the next step is? In India, the definition of settlement, right? When are you called settled? Marriage, right? The big question. How many of you plan to work after marriage? Okay, wonderful. All right. And how many of you think will compromise or negotiate? Now remember, I've been working for 25 plus years. Do not calculate my age. Alright? No calculating. I'm very, very young. Just yesterday the students in high school told me I'm 39. So that's all. I'm stopping there. Alright? So tell me, how many of you are willing to negotiate that you won't give up your career? Okay? Now the numbers are reducing. Now, remember what I'm saying this, okay? When I asked both parents working, I saw very few hands go up, which means what? The others are saying that your mums, I'm assuming, right? Assumption, fair assumption? That your mothers are not working, correct? I didn't say earning, I said working. So basically household chores, being a homemaker is not working, correct? As for all of you? Then you didn't raise your hands. Why didn't you raise your hands then? I didn't say earning, I said working. Didn't I say working? Isn't there a difference between working and earning? Right? Earning is when you earn the moolah. You earn the money. Or it could be transactional like in the older days. You will get, X, Y, you will get a gold or you will get whatever else that you want, a garden, a house, a home, whatever. Correct? But you all said your mums were not working. So when you give up your career at a later stage, just remember this one statement from me. Don't remember anything else if you don't want to. But this one thing, that if you give up your hard-earned education, the hard work of all your faculty that is here, your time, your energy, your parents' money or your money if you've taken student loans, you're giving all that up. Why am I starting with this question? Any ideas? Why am I starting with this question? Welcome, welcome. Alright, why am I starting with this question? Any guesses? Anybody can raise their hand and can raise their voice, or I'll send the mic over. Why am I starting with all of you should work, all of you should earn? Why? After all, today's topic is women's safety. What's the correlation?
Women are not lesser than men.
Women are definitely not. I have a daughter who's going to turn next week. She will tell you there is nothing a girl cannot do. Yes, that's true.
Women empowerment. Can I speak?
Women, yes, absolutely.
Self-respect is one of the things which is very important to every individual.
Okay, all right.
That might be the key.
Self-respect, yes, it is. Sorry?
Independence.
Independence. What kind of independence? Super. Because the safety of a woman, in my point of view, today after all you invited me, right, to hear my point of view. My point of view is women's safety starts when you are financially independent. Yeah? I have grown up in a family where my dad worked, my mom was a homemaker. But if you ask me to be a homemaker, I think that's the most difficult job. There are no weekend offs, right? Absolutely no weekend off. No holidays, no paid leave, no earned leave, no sick leave, no privilege leave, no kinds of benefits are there at home for a homemaker. I don't think I could be a homemaker, I'm being very honest. I'm not trying to make fun, but I truly think I will go crazy. So when I decided to marry very late in my life, I'm not telling you when because you'll calculate my age. Yeah? So, quite late. Why did I do that? I think I was too independent for my own good is how my mother would have said. My father would have said, hey, she's trying to figure out what she wants in life. I think I'd go with my dad. Yeah? Why am I sharing this with you? I'm sharing this because the first conversation I had with my now husband then to be was the fact that I'm not giving up my career. I had a daughter. I didn't give up my career. Again, the conversation came up of, hey, who's going to take care of the kid? I said, listen, dude, I did all the hard work. I brought the kid into the world. Now, my job is over. Someone else has to take, right? I'm not changing diapers. I'm not going to be feed. Yeah, I'll have to feed her, so I'll feed her. Okay. Why am I sharing again this with you is because at every step of my life, I negotiated. Yeah? So this is a very wisdom question I'm going to share. When you start, I'm still talking future, right? When you start or your parents start searching, whichever, ask your fiance, to-be spouse, what is his engineering or whatever is his highest qualification, I'm making an assumption here, whatever it may be, what's his graduation marks? And if it is less than you, I can guarantee 90% of you will marry someone whose percentage is less than yours. That's the stats. So guess what, isn't it? Now all the teachers here that are, I'm not going to put you on spot, but you're more in terms of education and percentage, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Right?
Yes,
See, if I could raise both my hands, I think I'd be raising both my hands. I was a distinction student, gold medalist in my, graduation, my post-graduation. My spouse barely made it. Yeah, it's a different thing that he got me and he got lucky in the world, I say. Right? So negotiate. If you don't negotiate, everything that we're going to talk from now onwards is absolutely going to be of no value. Yeah? At every stage, use your intelligence and negotiate. That's my first topic and my first giveaway to all of you on women's safety. Yeah? Then I'll talk about online because a lot of us are spending a lot of time online, right? So I'll talk about two incidents with you. Yeah, one is extremely close to my heart. My very, very dear friend in US and her daughter, superbly intelligent. All right, class topper in her high school, SATs in the first class. She got welcome letters when she applied. She got acceptance letters from Ivy Leagues. Okay, Harvard, UCLA, all good schools she got it. And when she went for admission, mother is, as you know, she's my colleague, so obviously working mother, working father, just one daughter. Mother doesn't know where the daughter is obviously spending, I'm saying obviously, spending her online time. And this incident is not more than 5 years old. Okay? Not more than 5 years old. So what is she doing? She's spending her time on Insta, on Facebook. At that time, your generation still went on Facebook. I know today you all don't go, right? But you'll go to Insta, right?
Yes.
Snapchats, right?
Yes.
What does Rio do? WhatsApp also. Now on Insta, there was one student who started a conversation about some activity in the school that was done. Alright? Irrelevant to the education. And they made a comment about that activity. And my friend's daughter, her name is Rachel, she decided that, hey, I'm going to be one of those, women that will not accept body shaming, will not accept any kind of, harassment that's coming in her definition. That's happening. So she went on Insta and she wrote a post about it. Now, this incident was 1.5 years before the admissions. How many years? 1.5 years before the incident. Mom doesn't know, dad doesn't know, None of us know. Because you see, what parents do is, I'm going to give my child the privacy. So I will not follow my child on social media. I will not send a friend request. Even if I do, the child is going to, not accept it. So I have no idea, right? All of you can relate to that, correct? Right? How many of your parents follow you on Insta? Like a handful of you, okay? Yeah? The others don't. So, and how many of you go and share with your parents what you have been doing? Again, very, very few. From 250 plus, very few. Okay, thank you. So, here is the admission scenario now. When she goes to the, student relations, admission, she's denied. She's denied admission. The first college doesn't even give an explanation why they do not want a topper in their college. The second time she goes to another school, this time we are using influence. Because after all, we are in HR, our job is to use influence, network. So we figure out and we find somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. India is that, right? Indians are like that. Even if we go to US, we are absolutely that way. So we go to that college and here the dean takes a little time and says, I'll explain to you why I'm denying you. Already made the decision. 1.5 years ago, you made this social media comment that was in 3 ways not acceptable for us as a college. 1, you insulted the faculty. You did not give respect to the faculty. 2, you made your opinion so loud that you did not give voice for a counter opinion to come in. Everything has a counter, right? A story has your side, a story has my side, and then there is our side. There's never only one side of a story, correct? We can read the same book, but will we understand and interpret the book in the same way? No. And the third thing, which is the most critical for all of you to know, is your parents are totally unaware of what you're doing. So they don't even know, they're not even prepared to answer anything that happens. Now the girl started crying and she said, I'll delete it. I'll delete that post today. But guess what? That post had already had more than thousands of, impressions. So even if you delete, someone else is sharing it somewhere, nothing goes deleted from online. You've heard of that? So this is my first tip to you all. When you all are making comments, right? When you all are sharing stories, please be aware. I'm not saying don't share your view. Don't get me wrong. Share your view. But do not be anti something. Okay, if you're anti something, what happens is you're not giving space for others to voice their views and their opinions. Yeah? Like I started today and I said, this is my view. You've invited me for my view. You've not invited me for a universal view. Okay, this is first. Second, there is a beautiful movie. And by the way, she didn't get admission. She kind of lost an entire year because of this incident. Imagine the implication of it. It's pretty serious. What we are writing on social media is very serious. So please, my humble ask of you all is be careful when you comment, be careful when you post, think through, and most importantly, go and talk to your family. Whether it's mother, father, sibling, if not, speak to your faculty here. Yeah? They are more experienced than you, more learned than you, and they'll be able to guide you on what's right and what's wrong. Because today your definition is limited to what is right to you. But the world is much larger than that. Right? Much larger, trust me. Like I keep joking about my age, I literally mean it's much larger. I have worked in US, I've lived there for 10 years, I've worked in Europe. I've probably more than 50 countries I've worked in. Yeah? Now, why have I worked in so many places and been able to come talk to you today? Is because I have always, and if you go and look me up also on LinkedIn, you will find that I always have a strong view. You ask a colleague that's worked with me, they'll tell you, Ekta has opinions. Ekta has opinions, that's what I'm known for. But that does not mean I'll shut the other person down. That's very important, guys. Online or offline, okay? Second is the movie which I urge you all to try and see if you all can find it maybe on YouTube or anywhere else. It's called John Denver Trending. Okay, it's a Filipino movie. And the movie starts with
showing that a guy, John Denver, is actually beating another student up in school. And students, all of you have phones these days, right? All of you, right? Yeah, most of you do. You'll take and videos are being taken of that fight. And it's been publicized on televisions, everywhere. Therefore, John Denver trending. Everywhere people are saying John Denver is the guy, John is the guy that is harassing and beating the daylights of the other student. Now the police come in and the investigation begins. Now the end of the investigation, what do the police find out? They find out that actually John was the guy who was being harassed every day until that day. He was being made fun of, he was being ridiculed, he was being harassed. You know, he was a poor guy from a really poor family. And the kid who was harassing him was from a really rich background. Obviously, it took so much of flame. And then they put John Denver, by the way, was put in the prison while the investigation was going on. When they concluded, they realized that he's actually the person who's the victim, not the one that got beaten up. But how many people do you think saw the conclusion? Not even 5%. How many people saw it trending? Millions. So we form opinions based on what we see. Now online, if you post pictures, if you post comments, wherever it may be, any forum, be careful, go to the security privacy settings and make sure that you are not to be seen to others, only to your friend circle. You know, there is a privacy setting, all of you know that also, right? Please activate that, because that can actually, if my friends were here from the cybercrime, they would have told you some stories that would really probably not make you sleep tonight. Yeah, I'm only going to tell you one incident. One of my really good employees in my last organization, she posts her picture like every morning. She dresses up. Her first ritual is, you know, take a selfie, post it online, mark where she is, you know, which city she is in today, which hotel has she checked in, which airport, you know, we do all of that, right? Checked into this hotel, checked into that hotel. We don't know how many psychos are out there. I'm going to use that word, yeah? And somebody was following her. Who do I know? Who does she know? And in one of the incidents, she was in Mumbai, right? And in Mumbai, she obviously tagged where she checked in. Now that person has come and not only taken her pictures, morphed those pictures to put it online on sites that you and I can't talk about, okay? But came and approached her, and she's thinking, yeah, whatever, you know, I'm so gorgeous and every day I dress so beautifully. So of course, you know, one of those, yeah, men will follow me kind of story. But no, they don't just follow you, they do much more than that. Physical harm. And that's what happened to her. She went through a traumatic experience to learn that. And that's how I got involved with the cybercrime here, because we had to, you know, file a complaint first in Mumbai, but she lives in Hyderabad, so, you know, the case is going between here and there, and it's absolutely one of those traumatic experiences that stays with you as a woman. Trust me, it doesn't go away. It impacts you psychologically, mentally, physically. You will not be the same person again. Does that make sense? It's an innocent post, you would think, but it's actually not innocent. Yeah? So enough about online safety. You all can ask me questions, by the way, be ready. Yeah? I love questions. Everybody will tell you that I love to answer questions. If I don't know, then I'll tell you I don't know. Yeah? Now coming to offline. So conclusion of online I want to say is, keep your eyes and look into the eyes of other people, not into the screen. How boring is that? Doesn't look back at you. Right? Doesn't look back at you. That's the poet in me, right? Remember, I write poetry, sadly. Very dark poetry, you don't have to read them. Okay? Now coming to offline, which I think is what will happen when you all start working, or even here in the engineering college. For me, what's important is that all women, we learn to speak up. We learn to speak up. So for example, I'll share an incident. I like to give examples so it kind of comes alive to all of you, right? It is not unknown, it's not something I'm making up. So we and in one of the organizations this is back in 2008, yeah. So we had, at that time it was still Vishakha guidelines. It wasn't yet the act. So we were educating our first line managers, right? So 5-6 years experience. We were educating them on how do you interact with freshers. Generation change happened, right? So how do you interact with freshers? So one of the things we said is, why don't you greet them every day? Why don't you say hello, good morning, what's up, whatever it may be. And you can also give compliments. Yeah. Gender neutral, you can give compliments. You're looking beautiful today. You know? Innocent. There isn't any intent. We see action. We don't see the intent, right? Because the intent is hidden in your brain. No one knows. What's the action? I'm screaming at someone. That's the action they're seeing. Why? No one knows why. So this manager of ours, really good guy, very, very civil, had 2 new, campus hires that came Lady Shri Ram College. And every day he was giving compliments. He said good morning and they said good morning back. Same to the guys, same to the girls. No difference in treatment. To the girls he said, oh, beautiful, because women like to hear beautiful. Yeah? That's an assumption he's making. Intent is not bad. So he said 1 day, 2 day, 3rd day the girl comes to us. Because remember, we're also educating the girls, right? Just like we're educating all of you, right? We told that if it is continuous behavior that is unacceptable to you, it doesn't have to be only physical, right? You heard even colored jokes, remarks, all of that. So this girl comes to us and she says, huffing and puffing. Remember, difference of culture between Hyderabad and Delhi is huge. Yeah, places also make a lot of difference. She comes to us and she's now complaining about that manager. So we said, okay, fine, no problem. Tell us what happened. What did he say? Can you give me the exact statement? So, yeah, yesterday he told me I'm looking beautiful. Okay. Day before yesterday he said you're looking beautiful. Okay. And I'm waiting. No, but that's not acceptable. I said, okay, very good, not acceptable, agree. Did you tell him it's not acceptable? Do you think he's a psychic? None of us are psychics. Trust me, that's only for the movies. You all can't read other people's minds. No one can. If somebody tells you, they're making a fool of you. Trust me. Now, if you don't tell, what's the lesson from this is, if you don't tell someone, no, they do not understand it. Another example. A guy comes and tells a girl, hey, what are you doing this weekend? Clearly interested, right? What are you doing this weekend? The girl says, oh my God, I'm so not interested. Again, both in the head conversations, right? And she tells him, oh, you know what, I'm new to Hyderabad, so I'm going to go shopping this weekend. I have to set up my house. 1 weekend, over. Next weekend, hey, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, I'm going out for movies with my friends. Oh, can I join you? No, you know what, actually, my friends have booked the tickets, so I really don't know. 3rd weekend. Okay, so excuses are happening. Now the guy is clearly interested. The girl is clearly not interested. Right? This is in person we're talking. All she needed to tell was, listen, thank you so much, but I'm not interested. Conversation would have been over there. But no, he kept asking. The 5th week she comes and she raises a complaint with us. Again, my questioning style, tell me what happened. Same question, did you tell him? No. How is he supposed to know? He's thinking, and when we interviewed him, we said, why did you ask so many times? The guy said, because she said she was busy. She was moving here, and then she had friends. So I'm thinking she is busy, innocent. How do you go and tell the guy, no, what you're doing is wrong? Because from his point of view, he's not wrong. Let's face it. Girls, let's face it. You all will, not all, some will face such situations. When you face, if you do not say no, they're not going to understand, they'll pursue. Same at work. We had, and this is a real violation, we had one of the managers come and put hand on the shoulder. No big deal, right? No big deal. From the back, he put a hand and she's working and she can't even breathe. Clearly not acceptable. But did she tell him not acceptable? In this case, what did we do? We had to give a warning letter. We can't just terminate everybody that comes and does things, you understand? Only in egregious behavior is it done. But then we had to give an education to all the managers. That listen, such kind of physical contact is not acceptable. Your hands have to be on you, on your body, whether it's inside your pockets or in visible place, but cannot be on the women. Until then, did we teach that to the men? No. But this incident made us teach that. Right? So, primarily, unless you say no, N-O, no, clearly, and women say no, is no. Unless you say that, people are not going to understand. The safety, therefore, depends on how you react in a situation. How each one of you will choose to react in a given situation. Yeah? That doesn't mean the accountability is 100% on you. Absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, if you tolerate a behavior, then the behavior will continue. If you tolerate it, it will continue. Therefore, you have to learn not to tolerate a behavior that is not acceptable to you. You have to learn to therefore speak up. Make sense? Yes? I can tell you many stories that I have faced in the organization over the years. And things sometimes don't change. Things don't change because women, this is my last point, I promised you, and I'll take questions. Women, we don't like to seek attention for not so good things by the society. What's labeled not so good things, right? So we don't talk about sexual harassment openly. Today we talk of it only in terms of the law. How many of you, I'm confident, have faced some kind of, harassment in some form or the other? While you must be commuting in your colleges, intermediate, or even, I don't know about now, hopefully not. But if you do, I have faced it. I'll share my story because most of you are women here. In a corporate, and this is my avatar, most of the times you will see me clad in a sari. Most of the times, with this 1 rupee bindi, the size of a 1 rupee bindi, right? And therefore, I also do not wear revealing saris. I usually drape them very neatly so there is nothing visible, right? Because everybody talks a lot about Indian attire. I used to wear, when I returned from US, obviously I didn't have saris. I lived there 10 years, so I had trousers, skirts, dresses. I used to wear trousers, skirts, dresses and go to work. I was hired as a manager at that time in an organization. First feedback given to me 6 months. I joined in January and year-end closed in June. My feedback that I got, we used to have what is called a 360-degree feedback. You know what that is? Where feedback is given by your manager, it's also given by your peer, it's also given by people who report into you and your clients. Everybody gets an opportunity to give feedback. My peer group, which means all the people that are at my grade. Yeah, I used to report to the head of HR. My peer group are all men. I am the only woman. Yeah, we were 6 of us, I am the only woman, 5 men. Feedback given was, Ekta thinks like a man. And I'm thinking to myself, by then I was, old enough. I thought, how in the world do you think like a man? Now, I agree that the only man in my life until that point in time was my father. We had 3 daughters, I'm the youngest of 3. So I literally grew up in a girls' hostel, right? So I thought to myself, I've had so many guy friends, so many guy friends. Guys who are friends, not boyfriends. So many of them, and nobody told me I think like a guy. What does it think like a man mean? I mean, do men think differently? Do women think differently? And I'm a researcher by nature. I love to research. So I went online and I'm feverishly searching the way to glory. My boss gave me this feedback, he forgot about it. For him it was no big deal, but for me it was a big deal. I mean, what do you mean by that? I mean, tell me that, I have been told you're aggressive. Okay. If women is assertive, she's aggressive. If man is assertive, you're assertive. Alright, gender stereotypes. I've lived with it. But thinking like a man, then I found a research. It was a BBC research which said, how the brain works, right? So for example, women can read emotions better. Yeah? Women can multitask. Yeah? Men can only single task. Women have a storage in their brain where they can store data from God knows when. Therefore, when there are arguments and fights, they'll recall. Except, remember, I think like a man, so I don't have that storage capacity, but my husband does. Every time we argue, he'll bring back things I have no memory of. Trust me, I have no memory. If he will tell me, I'll be like, oh, what do I do? Coming back to the story. So I took the test and it said I have what is called a half and half brain. I said, super. So I took that research and I sent it to my 5 colleagues and to my boss, just for the fun. And all of them took the test, and then one of them came, has a female brain, another and else male brain, my boss, my brain, 50-50. So now we used to have this lunch and learn session. Being HR team, 100 people, I volunteered. I will teach. I have learned this new science called the brain science and I will teach. Okay, my ulterior motive was I am not thinking like a man. Period. That's my ulterior motive, okay? Now, of course, the room is always divided. You know, there are some who will think like women, who are women, but there will be some men also who think like women. There are some women who think like men. You get the drift. Nothing changed for me. I gave Gyan, nothing changed for me. All transparency. My boss then said, Ekta, I'm going to nominate you to go for this process lab. I don't think any of you have been through a process lab. Trust me, you haven't. A process lab is where you go and in silence for the first 1 day. You have to be in silence. Can you imagine being silent? No gadgets, huh? You don't have phone. Yeah, with the phone, I can also be silent. No phone, no book, no kind of technology. You're sitting in a room, especially on a floor, squatted, looking at the wall, looking at the curtains, looking at the color. What all is going through your head, only you know. After a point, you can't live with yourself. Trust me, it's very difficult to live with yourself. Yeah, that's why we live in a society. Now, what happened, of course, day 2, they ask you what you've been through. Day 3, they ask you and, they kind of process what's going on inside you. And of course, the only thing until that point that bothered me, I'm thinking like a man is all that is bothering me. Nothing is bothering me. I'm superb rock star at work, top performer, fast tracker, all of that. Global experience. I mean, I had a chip on my shoulder, guys. And here, at the end of 3 days, I come back after the process lab. I'm supposed to have changed. Process lab, supposed to change you. What is the change I do? Secret. The change I do is I go to my mother and I say, Mom, listen, I love these sarees. I pick like some 10 of them. Can you make me blouse for all of them because I don't have? So she says, boy, suddenly, why do you want? I said, no, just make it. So over the weekend, she goes somewhere, she kind of brings me ready-made blouses. Next Monday, the woman who used to wear dresses and skirts and trousers is suddenly sari. And I borrowed my mother's bindi. It's the same one I'm wearing now. Okay? I go to office. Nothing has changed. My attitude has not changed. My behavior has not changed. My opinions have not changed. Nothing has changed, guys. Honest confession, nothing has changed. 3 months later is year end. What feedback do I get? Ekta has taken the feedback we have given to heart and she has worked on it. There is such a big turnaround in her attitude. She is now cooperating and working with us as a women leader. I want to say many things right now, but I have to edit beep, I'm editing those words. Nothing changed, guys. It was just the outlook that changed. Right? So sometimes, why am I sharing this? Sometimes perception becomes reality. Yeah? Perception becomes reality. Unfortunately, in India, the perception forming is 67%, not 1 or 2%, 67% more than anywhere in the world. There's a study that's done on that. So, that's very, very important that you need to know. Last statistics. In 2008, right, there is a bureau that does the analysis of all the sexual harassment, domestic violence cases that come. Yeah? So 2,47,000 were the cases, 2008. Okay? Now this was done last year again, the same study. NRCB publishes that, right? Now, can you guess how much it would be? Any guesses? Would increase by how much? Let's say talk percentage. You all are engineers. Let's talk percentage. How much would have it increased? 10, 20, 30, 40? 5 times? So 50% increase. Okay? Any other takers? Here there is 50% increase. Anybody else? Any other option other than 50%? All of you hold your seats when I tell you this. It increased by 87%. Domestic violence, by the way, in India is categorized only for women. It's not categorized. Domestic violence can be for men too. Women beat up men too. But that's not reported. 87%. Okay? So that is how bad the domestic violence and harassment has increased in this country. And if you go and ask any law enforcement officers, what can we do to reduce? They'll talk about 2 things. One, they'll say is awareness, which obviously all of you are having, right? Second is learning to say no. But in India, our society, our culture, what type of culture are we? Sorry? Louder. What kind of culture are we? Patriarchal culture, absolutely right. And therefore it means what? Yeah, male domination, traditional. But basically, is it driven by process? I mean, there is a red light, signals are there, correct? But if you cross the signal, can you still get away with it? Not anymore? Ticket comes home? Right? But if you don't appear for the driver's license, you still can get driver's license. I got it. I won't tell you that, not now, but when I was 19, I didn't appear for the driver's license. My father knew somebody that knew somebody that knew somebody. My father didn't know that I was going and talking to somebody. If he knew, he would have kicked me. Yeah? So our society is not driven by policies or programs or process. Our society is driven by relationships. Right? So what happens is women, especially, we are told right from childhood, I doubt if it's changed now, at least not in your generation is what I think, but we are told that acceptance is important. Correct? Chalta hai. So what if somebody did this? It's okay. No, it's not okay. Who told you it's okay? So unless you raise your voice, nobody is going to come to know. I am what is called a Sanghamitra. This is our last thing I'll tell you. Sanghamitra is by the cyber police here in Hyderabad. It is limited to Telangana and right now only Hyderabad and Secunderabad. Sanghamitra are women who are trained to do counseling for women who go through, any kind of domestic abuse, basically. So I see a lot of educated women. I don't even want to talk about not educated, right? Educated women who are working and still put up with violence at home. It's gut-wrenching when I have to go and meet them, especially with children. Middle of the night, these calls always come in the middle of the night. Can you go rescue this person? Can you go drive this person from there, bring them to the safe house which is in, different parts of the city? And every vicinity is just 10 kilometers. So my radius is only Gachibowli, BHEL, that kind of Nalavenla, that's the area I live in. And that is mostly people from the IT sector, right? And women are putting up with crime until, domestic abuse, until it comes to the child. It's so not acceptable. So that's my last thing to you all. Staying safe means raising your voice. Okay? I'm going to pause and then I'll take questions. Thank you guys.
CSC AIML second year, and my question is,
Congratulations! You went a year without realizing.
I just went for third year, same classroom and all, so I'm not used to it. My question is, how do you not look anti, Like, I have an opinion, I want to express it. There are stereotypes going on me, I want to point it out.
Yes.
But how do I not look very dominating, as my guy friends put it?
Dominating.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Can everybody hear me with my voice?
Yes.
Awesome. This is a new record for me. Okay. So it's pretty simple, the way I see it, right? I start when I am saying something that I know will be dominating, like you're saying. I say assertive. Potato, whatever. I usually say, this is my opinion and my view. You're welcome to contradict it. But contradict it with data, because I've got data to prove what I'm saying. Like today I told you, 87% domestic abuse crime has increased. I have data to tell you that. If I want to say something like that, absolutely. By the way, I have thank you. Suddenly. My niece is just turned 21, okay? She's studying in Villaverde, she graduated. Why am I telling you about her? Because she's got opinions and views like you are talking. About everything. Yeah? The other day she came and she made this Instagram reveal about her being an asexual. Now I am a DNI leader, right? I'm supposed to know all of it. I quickly went on Google and I said, what is asexual? Before she comes home, I have to be ready to talk to her. So I had to learn about it. I didn't know what it was. And I read her post, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. But in the end, she says, this is who I am. You want to accept me? Accept me. You don't want? You know how what you kids do these days, right? GTH. So, you have to, when you state a view, absolutely give room. Otherwise, be prepared to be a loner. If you don't want, then there should be some accommodation that you give. You know how in India, it's a 3-seater in the back, right? In the cars, 3 people. But then there are someone who will say, thoda sa. 4 people will say, some kid on the lap. You have to just learn to be a little bit accommodating. That's it. Be open when you're listening, be open to what their view is. You can say, I agree, however, don't use but instead. However is a good substitute of but. Yeah? Sure. Almost 3rd year, still getting used to. I love that, yeah. Anybody else? I can get my 10,000 steps, guys. I already climbed 4 floors today. I've not done that in I don't know how many years now. Don't tell anybody.
Ma'am, like you mentioned a statistic which said like 87% of domestic violence has increased. But why can't we take it like 87% more has been reported these days? The awareness is increased and that's why people are reporting domestic violence. They're realizing that it's wrong and that's why it's coming up.
Very good. What's your name?
Hello.
I was hoping somebody will bring this up. I don't want the society, college, organization to be grievance free. No, they should be grievance, just like they should be reporting. Because then it basically means we are giving an environment that is safe for people to speak, whether it's women, whether it's men. Very good point. Absolutely. All right. I have no idea in terms of time how we are doing, but I'm assuming we are okay, since nobody's interrupted us till now. Questions?
Yes,
This
sir.
side has contributed.
You have another 20-30 minutes.
Awesome, guys. Questions, throw at me. Otherwise, I'll open my, PPT and start showing you, which I don't want to. This side, no one has asked. Either you guys don't like me, or whatever I said didn't appeal to you, or you all think it's well. Yes, absolutely.
Harshita.
No, ma'am. How to get out of a toxic situation when you feel like you are emotionally attached to that person?
Beautiful question. I'll tell you what I do. And unfortunately, I have been in a toxic situation. Emotionally attached. We all have. What I did, why are you guys laughing? Is there a background? Is there a secret? Does she have a boyfriend or something like that? That she's in a toxic relationship? Oh, okay. I thought if there's a secret you have to tell me, no? Okay. So, what I did was I wrote pros and cons. I literally took a paper and pen. Which in today's world, you all will say, oh my God, do you even write? Yes. I did a pros and cons. I said, if I stay in this relationship, what are my pros? If I walk out of this relationship, what are my pros? If I stay in this relationship, what are the cons? If I walk out, what are the cons? And trust me, after you do that exercise, it's pretty staring in your face. Number one. Number two, have a set of friends that are not afraid to tell you you're being foolish. Have a set of friends in your life that can slap you and tell you, wake up. Seriously, I have friends like that. My best friend is someone who will always be knocking at me and saying, stop being so emotional. In your work life, you're so practical. How come in your personal life, you're so emotional? That's the way we are built. So yeah, I did that exercise and I went. I'll also share with you, at workplace, I had a super senior leader. And every time, I would walk into his cabin and I had to work with him. He was one of my stakeholders. He would not talk to me. He wouldn't look at my beautiful face, He wouldn't look at me and talk. He'd look at my babies and talk. Okay? And every time I would wonder, I'd look at myself, I'd say, no, I'm wearing a sari, the sari is in place. Nothing is revealed. Why is he looking there? And then I didn't know what to do. I was extremely paranoid because, he's my client. Therefore, he can have a very negative feedback for me at year end and it can jeopardize my career. This is India I'm talking. This is Hyderabad I'm talking. This is 2014 I'm speaking. And so I kind of mulled over, didn't understand what to do, spoke to a couple of my girlfriends at work. They said, don't know Ekta, that man does that to me also. That leader does that to me. So whoever I spoke to, the 3 girlfriends that I had, they said the same. Then I went to another stakeholder of mine, who was at the peer group of my client. And he was younger in age, closer to my age. So I went and I asked him, I said, listen, I'm facing this problem. I won't tell you with who, but this is what I'm facing and I don't know what to do because I have to work with him. So he said, Ekta, I really don't know because I am, in this generation with you. I don't know what this older generation is doing. So he kind of detached, reaction. But the second thing is that next time if he does that, why don't you try and practice to do this? And you do it like this. And maybe it's the unconscious thing, let's give him the benefit of doubt. I highly doubt it was unconscious. Yeah? But I used his trick and it worked. It worked the first time, it worked the second time. But I didn't stop. The behavior didn't stop. Then I went to my boss. I was very, very, very open with my boss. Even though he's male, I kind of didn't have any inhibitions. Remember, I think like a man, so no big deal. So I went to him and I said, boss, this is happening to me. He doesn't talk to me, to my face, he talks to my babies. So he said, what are you saying? I said, yes. I said, and here are 3 girls I've spoken to, all 3 of them have this experience. Are they willing to speak? Was his first question. I said, yes. So he said, okay. So he spoke to them individually. They confirmed that indeed the gentleman does that. Guess what? He was terminated from the organization. It was extremely difficult. I would hate if I looked at my calendar in the morning, if I had a meeting with him, I would be like, man, I wish I was sick today. Man, I wish there's an emergency today. Something happened so I don't have to go for that meeting. It was that bad. Now that's official. But in personal life, I drew a pros and cons. I walked out of a relationship. Very transparently, I walked out of it. I was emotionally attached. It was like for 5 long years. But I decided this is the end of it. It has to be the end of it. Okay?
My name is Anusha. Being in this judgmental society, do we have to really bother about the negative perceptions that receive our ears? Do we have to prove ourselves or ignore them just?
Remember you signed up for my views. Alright, so I have been through that as well. Now suddenly I'm feeling I'm older. No, I'm very young. Alright, it's very simple. Remember what was the first thing I asked all of you all? I said you all should be financially independent. Didn't I say that? So, the way I respond, and I have enough people who come and tell me many things, yeah? Right from, okay, let's not take it. They tell me many things. what I do is I quickly open my banking app. These days physically, I'll open my banking app and I'll say mortgage, payment, my account, maintenance, my account, electricity, my account, internet, my account. Then they'll be like, what are you doing? Then I'll say, no, I'm just checking. Did you pay for any of this? If you didn't pay, then who gives you the right to give me a view? Read between the lines and let it go. Unless they are paying for something, yes, I will value your opinion. I'll value my parents' opinion because after all they've, paid for it. I'll value my teacher's opinion because they've educated me. I'll value anybody that I think has contributed. But if it is somebody who is not contributed, not paid for anything, why do I care? Let them come, let them go. It's their life. It shouldn't impact you. That's how I have dealt with my life. I literally do that. Or if I'm holding a cup of coffee or sitting in a restaurant and something like that happens, I say, hey, who's paying for this? And if the other person says you, then I say, oh, thank you. You can pause now. I don't hesitate in saying that. But then again, it's you. Yeah? I wouldn't let any negative thing come near me. I don't. I'm a super positive person. Not because I'm born that way. I've trained myself to be that way.
Department, and I'm thankful for the opportunity you are giving to us. I have many questions of safety. I'm working here as a faculty from past 8 years. So I was making a good relation with the students, but I have a limit for that. Even with the students, even I'm a teacher for my own sister too. So I have a limit for this. The students who are the female students, mainly the girl students will usually approach me and they will share their views. So not only first of my teaching field, when I have started the career, I have few students who had complained about the male faculty, male faculty.
Yeah.
But he is very good person in that college. But he usually go to the girl student and he trying to touch them, but it is unofficial. He just move over there and he will explain the things like that. And he's a non-technician. So he's not a technical staff to do so while they are doing the labs or while they are doing something. He will use to touch them. But he has a very good opinion in the college. The students, not only the one has complained me, a few of the students have complained. So I insisted them, okay, be aware of yourself. Just move away. If he's coming towards, just move away one step and be in your limits with them, I said. Okay. So the things happens, and after this is not technician. Coming to the next one, the faculty. It was the faculty, and they was afraid that the faculty will take off their marks. Okay. If they say no directly to them, they will definitely do some harm to them, either in the form of marks, or he will harass them during the projects, or harass them during anything.
Correct.
So what sort of things we should aware of the students, that even they said no also, they should be in a correct manner.
Yeah. Thank you. So, firstly, congratulations. You guys rock, I tell you. Now they're not going to ask me questions because you're here.
But I'm waiting outside.
Oh, no, please. Alright, so let me answer the question. Firstly, I want to congratulate you because I think if the students are coming and confiding in you, you are giving them the safe environment to do that. So congratulations firstly. Secondly, if technical, teacher or not, I would say we all have a personal space, right? We all have a space that we are comfortable with. That's why the chairs are divided and kept at a certain distance, no matter in what type of seating, right? If you go to your class, there's a bench, yeah, a table, whatever it may be. That is the definition of a personal space. Typically, they say personal space today in a crowded India is reduced to 3 feet, but technically it should be 6. Yeah, that's the distance here, 3 feet. If you are not comfortable, if the students are not comfortable, they should either confide with you and you should pick it up. You should observe. As a faculty, you should observe, is this true? Is this happening? Because if it is a behavior like the one I shared with you, unconscious, then yes, it will happen in your presence also. And if it does, then you can pull him aside and say, hey, by the way, as faculty to a faculty, I think that's not appropriate. You may have a great reputation and that reputation may get impacted. Just play on what his positive is. Yeah? And in the second scenario, which you shared, I would probably gather as many women that are speaking to, take statements from them in written, because that's the requirement of the law if you want to go formal route, right? Formal requires that you write and give. If you just verbally speak, it's no longer valid, there's no case, right? Investigation cannot be done internally by ICC. So ask them to give it to you in written. Promise them at your level that you will try to maintain anonymity. That you can commit. They don't have to come to the committee and they don't have to speak, yeah? But take it in written, and within your peer group, women, faculties, you all can come close. Like I went to my male colleague, if there's a male faculty that you can trust, bring him into the room and tell him that this is what you're hearing, can be counseled. First step. Wait for a couple of weeks to see if the behavior is changed. If not, the women together should confront. If you don't want to go the ICC route, if you want to go to the committee route, then that's very easy. But if you want to solve it fair and square and another way, then a friendly conversation off campus would be better.
Some tips to motivate the students if they are really facing the problem, how they would come to us and what the things we have to say them. I want some tips.
Okay? Forgive me. One of them who said 87% reported, why are we not looking? Manognya. Nice name also. Remember, just quote her next time. Quote her and tell her that, listen, if you don't report, we cannot change the environment and the behavior. Which means someone after you will also go through and suffer exactly like you all are suffering. Number one. Number two, just like you already have females, students coming and telling you, otherwise create the environment of this is a safe zone. You can speak here freely with no implications. See, where women worry is that they will have a repercussion if they speak up, right? Whether it is in the form of ostracizing them, removing them from the main groups, or going and talking about it with 10 different people, so everybody comes to know, oh, she did this, she did this. So everybody naturally moves away. That is what women fear the most. But if you give them the sense of safety and security, that this is a safe environment, you can speak up, there will be no implications. And if anybody does, there is a reprimanding behavior that you have to demonstrate. If you tell that, I think women will speak up openly. They'll come to you, they'll be able to have conversations. But the last that I do is I meet women in informal ways. So formal is structured like we are all meeting here. But informal is if they are going all on a tea break, I'll casually, go and join them. So you are humanizing yourself. You're no longer standing on the stage, you are with them, right, in their circle. So if you are in their circle, they'll suddenly feel you are also a friend. For them, see, there's a lot of studies that says that the mothers who treat their children as friends, daughters as friends, have more chance of success than the ones that have the strict environment. So treat them as friends.
Good morning, all of you.
Good morning, sir.
Very happy to see all of you. Okay, so first of all, my sincere thanks to Ekta Singh Madam for coming to our institution and giving excellent lectures to all the girl students and the women faculty. Right. So one of the major issues I am observing in the last 10 to 15 years onwards. So most of I think you are the next generation creators. Yes, sir? Yes, sir? Yes, sir. So most of the boys and girls totally sharing all the information. 90% of the students, 90% of the girls and boys students sharing the information in front of the mummy. Yes, sir? Very few, I think 10 to 15% is sharing the information to father. Okay, so I think you are the next generation creators. You feel the responsibility. then only next generation kids, they are also feel the responsibility. They are also feel the responsibility. Yes, sir?
Yes.
Yes. Suppose you are not feel the responsibility, so I think next generation, it is very difficult. So now Western countries, they are learning about the Indian culture, but we learn Western culture. It is very unfortunate. So now Western countries also, they have started the temples and pujas, Kuchipudi, Bharatanatyam. They learn. But we forgot. So we have learned something, Western culture, dances, something. So style of the way of the clothes, we are follow strictly for. That is very unfortunately. Okay. So 68% of the students, girl students especially in our college, madam, out of 100, 68% of the girl students, they are selected in various MNC companies in our college. So we also encouraging all the women faculty. Myself also giving respect to all the women faculty. So Madam CDC, EDC and Saroja Madam, and many of the women faculty actively, dynamically involved in all the activities in our college because we are maintain the SAC, Student Association Council. So 80% of the women faculty including in the SAC activities. That is a good thing. So through SAC, so many activities we are conducting. So very much all students, especially more than 50% of the girl students are there involving in the activities. Not only SAC activities, the remaining college activities also involving. That is good, good sign. So every semester we are also conducting so many activities on our campus. So through SAC, not only SAC. So we are also inviting expert members from the outside. So for motivation of the students. Okay. So you feel I request all the students, you feel the responsibility. You feel the responsibility until there is no use. Until there is no use. Okay. So I request all the students, girl students especially, you feel the responsibility. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It's a great pleasure to have the very principal present. And sir is always enhance the degree of zeal in the campus. Thank you, sir.
And I think most of us here, we have already got like some share of sexual harassment in our life, and that kind of thing never goes away from your mind. It haunts you all the time. So I want you to tell me how do you like get it off your mind, how to overcome it, how do I make peace with my mind?
Irshad Muskan. Ifat Muskan. Muskan is good? Muskan, that's an absolutely remarkable question you're asking. I hope all of you heard the question, right? No? So what Muskan is saying is that all of us as women, we've gone through some kind of sexual harassment in our life. When we are traveling, probably, there are many scenarios. We've all gone through. How do you take it off your mind? Because it keeps haunting you, right? It keeps coming back. So, one of the things that is still a taboo in India is the conversation with a psychiatrist or a counselor. Considered. But if you ask me, it's absolutely okay. It's absolutely okay. Seek help. It doesn't go away. At least for me, it didn't go away. Okay? It's still there are some days that it comes back to haunt me really bad. Especially when I was a teenager, an incident which I don't think I want to relive it, so I won't tell you one. But yes, counseling helps you in terms to process it. But what's the most important thing I can tell you, Muskan, is it's not your fault. You have to remind yourself that every day. it's not your fault that you went through that. It's the other person who's got nothing to do in their life and therefore has impacted. Yeah, but seek help. Seek help. Counselors are not bad. They are beautiful people. They can help you process. And one simple exercise they made me do, which I'll share with you. I understand the pain, Muskan. I do. A simple exercise is I wrote down the incident. Okay? And any incident in life or any relationship in life, when it's over, you know how when someone passes, you kind of mourn with them for a few days, right? Whether it is 5 days, 11 days, 13 days, whatever is your mourning period, right? You write the incident on a piece of paper, burn it. Or if your tradition says bury it, okay? And then sit there and cry as much as you want. 1 hour, 2 hours, the entire day. Get it out of your system and say this is the death of that episode. And once it's over, it's over. I've conducted the last rites. I've moved on. I did that. It helped me a lot. Okay, that was the exercise my counselor gave me because I was spiraling. I was only 21 years old when that incident happened. I was traveling in a bus and when it happened, okay? In an overnight bus from Hyderabad to a place called Kottagudem. Traumatic experience. But yeah, I did. And it wasn't for like a minute or 2 minutes. It was a bloody long 2.5 freaking hours. Okay? I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't tell my mother. I mean, my mother and I were very close. I couldn't tell my mother. I worried that my mom would say, hey, it is because, I did something. Maybe I'm not wearing the right clothes. Maybe I was sitting next to, who knows? I didn't even tell my mom. It worried me until much later in life. I would say almost 8 years after that incident. When I was in US, very successful, settled. And at that time, someone told me about counseling. Because anything that would be similar, I'd freak out. I'd literally freeze in those situations. And they said, have you thought of counseling? I had never, because in India they never talk to you about it. Today, I proudly tell you, I have fought depression. I have sought counseling. I have gone to psychiatrists. I have sought help from them. I lost my father during COVID. I was hopelessly depressed. But I'm stronger today. What didn't break me made me stronger. That's how I look at it. But counseling is what I would recommend. Please seek help. If you want, you can take my number from, anybody here, my email, write to me, I'll connect you with someone. Okay?
If you have a close friend or close person, someone we know very well, if they're undergoing some sort of violence and they don't want to open up, they don't want to complain, they do not want to talk about it, but we as a fellow human, we as a fellow female, we just can't see it, we just can't tolerate that, we just can't leave it as the way it is. So what do we do in such situations?
Very good question. First, you have to understand one thing is respect. Maybe their tolerance level is more than yours. We each have different tolerance levels, right? For me, if someone calls me fat, I don't think I'll tolerate that. Huge problem, yeah? But if you call me another word probably, I could probably be okay with it. You call me aggressive, I think I'll be okay with it. We each have different, I'm using words, not physical, I'll respond to that. So we each have a different tolerance level. Maybe your friends that are going through it, friend that's going through, has a higher tolerance level. But that does not mean, like you rightly said, you'll close your eyes to it. You're not a cat, no? Cat thinks closing the eyes and drinking the milk, nobody is seeing it. Right? You're not. If I were you, what I would do is first, even if she doesn't want to talk, probably share a few tips. Or maybe give her a few movies or videos, depends on what kind of person they are. If they are visual thinkers, then you give a movie or something to watch. If they are readers, then you give them a book. But you'll have to do research. What books to give of women who have fought and overcome, right? Or if that's not possible, you think it's too much to do, then reach out to one of your faculty here. Yeah? Reach out to the faculty and ask them to do the counseling. Typically what happens is fear. Especially if it is within the family, it's a huge problem. Fear of family abandonment in India is a lot more. Anywhere, but in other countries, children leave homes at 16. And therefore they come home only for Christmas and Thanksgiving. But we stay home till we are kicked out. Yeah? So family becomes very important. I would recommend that if you cannot, there are many books that you can recommend where women have fought violence, they've overcome. $1 Million Baby is a movie that comes to my mind. If you haven't watched, you should watch it. Okay? Other movies also I can recommend, books also I can recommend. But otherwise, faculty is your best bet. Come to them and say, ma'am, this person is going through. I'm sharing it with you, but don't say I share. They have a knack of bringing it out. They can have a casual, informal conversation, take them away from campus, sit down, have a cup of coffee, or maybe take them into a separate room where no one is able to see them and have that conversation. Many times, younger women will open up to someone who's a wee bit more experienced. And that could be your way of doing it. Okay? But stay there. The minute you know she is going through something, be there. Tell her every day you love her. Tell her every day you are there no matter what time it is. Form a support group, in other words. Okay? Good friends. So my circle is very small. Okay? 2 of them are in US and 3 of them are in India. But the friend in US was visiting. She has a boy and a girl. Boy older, girl younger. And she is a huge DNI advocate like I am. All women that probably work kind of decide that we have to become the warriors. And we were at a lunch table. We were having lunch in her house. We finished the lunch. The boy got up, picked up his gadget and walked away. Mom didn't say anything. My best friend didn't say anything. The daughter got up. She picked up her plate and she went into the kitchen to put it. She called the daughter and she said, Anya, can you come back and pick up your brother's plate? And I was sitting right there and I said, no, she's not going to do that, Nisha. So my friend said, what do you mean? I said, why should she pick up the plate? It's a small action. You are a DNI expert. Why are you asking your daughter to do that? She said, man, didn't draw on to me, man. I said, call your son. She said, Arya. He came, picked up the plate. But for him, it was like, yeah, big deal. Somebody, I'm in India. I'm no longer in US. Somebody will do it. There's so many servants. You're right. The mother has more responsibility. In my organization, whenever there is a woman who comes back as a returning mom, I always ask, boy or girl. The minute they say girl, I'll say congratulations. The minute they say boy, I say all the best. Because I think the mothers who have boys have to be more informative and educative of how to take care of women and girls right from a young age. So I'm with you. Let's invite men and I commit that I will come back. I love coming back to campus. It gives me energy, makes me feel young, won't it? Still in India, a traumatic experience to be a daughter. Absolutely right. It's changed. It's changed, of course. I'm the youngest of 3 daughters. I told you all that, right? I come from a state called Bihar. All of you know about it? You know it because it's notorious, correct? Yeah? Now, in Bihar, and by the way, my great-grandfather, grandfather, they are from the King's clan. Rajwadas we are called, right? So, when I was born, the 3rd child, until I think my parents had the 2nd daughter, they were okay. When I was born, my father, he was in Air Force. He's an aeronautic engineer, he was in Air Force. He was sent a telegram. 3rd daughter born, come home immediately. In those days, that's how they communicated. Yeah? Suddenly, I'm feeling very old. No. Alright, so, long story short, he was given an ultimatum that he needs to get remarried in order to have a son. He has to get remarried in order to have a son. My father, of course, because he is progressive, educated, etc., chose not to. So he was asked to give up his princehood. Okay? He had to write off all the property that we have. He took my mother, he took me, He left the other two sisters because they were, older, with my nani nana, my maternal side, and came from there all the way, quit his Air Force job. This took time, not 1 month, 2 months, but 3 years. In the 4th year, he applied for a job down south, Singareni Collieries, and we moved here. I was about 4.5-ish, 5 years old when I came here. Today, and of course, then you can imagine there's no relationship left with the family, right? You're thrown out, literally. So I didn't grow up knowing who my uncle or my buas are in the family. No clue. But I grew up with enough masis and mamas because my mother's side was okay with it. Fast forward, today I am very successful, I would think, in 2007 I returned from US after living there for a decade. All of a sudden, I signed up for what is now Facebook, right? I signed up. All of a sudden I'm getting these requests. I have no idea who they are, okay? But they look like my dad. So I go to my dad and I say, hey, Sanjay Singh is sending me request and Poonam Singh is sending me request and all those names. So Singh, yeah, I understand, probably they're relatives. So he says, that's my youngest brother, that's my sister. So the entire family now is trying to reconnect with me, not still with my father. Reconnect with me, why? Because I'm working in Deloitte. And I'm an executive manager, which basically means I'm successful. I didn't care. Growing up, yes, it was a problem. I had to hear many times that, oh, you're the third girl child. How do you break it? In my view, you break it by ignoring it. I don't care. Like I told you, right? If someone pays for it, I will listen. If they haven't paid for it, I don't care about their view. Number one. Number two, if the family is doing, then I'll sit down with the family. I've had many conversations. In our organization, we used to invite parents and in-laws of girl children, okay? Campus fresher hires. Some of them are already married. We invite them. And we talk to the mothers and fathers, mother-in-laws, father-in-laws, and we tell them about our organization, tell them what safety, security, etc. is. But as women, you have to sit down with your family and say, listen, there are no taxes and fees on dreams. There are no taxes and fees on ambition. My desire, my ambition, my goal, my dream is to be whatever that may be. And therefore, whatever you say doesn't make a difference. But you have to have determination. Because if you don't have determination, someone will come and poke, like you'll be like a balloon. Someone comes, puts up and push, you'll go down. Don't be like that. Be like it goes up and never wants to come down. You have to have resilience. What's the worst that can happen? People will not talk to you. It's okay, you've got friend circle that will talk to you. I'm sure there'll be siblings that can support you. I'm sure there'll be one person in the family that will say, yes, it's all right. But absolutely, it is there, and I'm not going to deny that women are still considered, and girl children are still considered to be a burden in the society. That's because we are making it that way. But if you choose not to, it doesn't have to be. I'll share a joke with you all. My doctor has a plaque on my name in her, clinic. I told her when I was, expecting my child, I told her if it's a boy, just tell me you didn't have a child. I'm okay with it. Take the child away. If it's a girl, only then you come back and tell me it's a daughter, it's a girl, congratulations, here you go. She said, you're the first woman who's saying that. I said, I do not want. And the first day onwards, I would say to my mother, I do not want a son. Can you please make some ritual puja, etc. to happen so I can, have a daughter? My mother said, the other is possible. This one I don't know. Okay? I was this close tempted to say, hey, listen, I'm going to go to US because in US they reveal the gender. I was ready. I spoke to Deloitte and they said, yeah, you can definitely go. But when I told them the ulterior motive, they said, no, you can't go. Sadly. But she has my name, my statement, my picture, along with my daughter's picture in her cabin, which says it's absolutely, they are mothers like me who do not want boys. I mean, I don't not like them, I do. But as a child, I mean, imagine how much you can do with a daughter. You can have breakfast, lunch, dinner, gossip, chit-chat, watch movies. With the boys, after a point in time, they'll be like, don't even say I love you. Stay away from me. I don't want. So, there are all types of parents is how I would put it. And if you need me to come talk to them, I'm available. Okay? Thank you.